My name is Clara, and I'm 64 years old. This is the story of how two strong, kind hands reached for mine on a quiet North Carolina beach and changed everything I thought I knew about love, longing, and starting over. It began on a cool October Saturday at sunrise in Nags Head. I had just retired from the Environmental Protection Agency after 35 years of sitting at desks, writing report after report about the ocean I loved so much. My days had become quiet and empty after my divorce 3 years earlier. My therapist looked at me one afternoon and said gently, "Clara, go touch the sand you spent your life trying to protect." So every Saturday at dawn, I joined the local beach cleanup group. That first morning, the air was crisp, the sky turning soft pink and orange over the waves. I was the only woman among 5 of us. We walked the 2-mile stretch, bending down to pick up plastic bottles, wrappers, and bits of trash before the tourists arrived. 2 men noticed me right away. Marcus was 51, tall with calm gray eyes and the quiet voice of a scientist. He was a marine biologist who studied the waters along the Outer Banks. Derek was 49, broad-shouldered with sun-bleached hair and the steady hands of someone who had once served in the Coast Guard. He now worked for a coastal conservation group. I knelt in the wet sand, reaching for a piece of buried plastic. Suddenly, a warm hand closed gently over mine. Marcus had knelt beside me. His fingers were strong but careful as he helped me pull a bottle cap free. "Careful," he said softly, his breath brushing near my ear. "There's broken glass right there." A shiver moved through me, not from the cold, but from the simple warmth of his touch. A moment later, I felt another hand rest lightly on my shoulder from behind. Derek knelt on my other side and offered me a pair of thicker gloves. "Trade with me," he said kindly. "Yours are too thin for this part of the beach." His fingers brushed my arm as he helped me put the new gloves on. Their touches were simple, helpful, and protective, but something warm stirred deep inside my chest. I was 64. I had been alone for years. I told myself it was nothing. But every Saturday after that, the touches continued, always gentle, always lingering, just a little longer than necessary. Marcus would walk beside me and point out tiny jellyfish or explain the tide patterns. When the wind pushed me off balance on slippery rocks, his hand would find my elbow and stay there until I felt steady again, his palm warm against my skin. Derek started arriving early to save me a good spot near the water. He brought an extra thermos of coffee and sometimes brushed sand from my shoulder, his fingers resting there a second longer than they needed to. I found myself looking forward to those mornings more than I wanted to admit. 6 weeks passed like this. The 3 of us began drifting away from the larger group, working our own stretch of beach in comfortable silence. We talked about the plastic we found, about seabirds fighting to survive, and how small actions still mattered. Their voices made the early mornings feel bright and full of purpose. Every time our hands brushed while reaching for the same piece of trash, or our shoulders touched as we walked side by side, a quiet longing grew inside me. One Saturday after the official cleanup ended, the other volunteers left. Marcus, Derek, and I stayed behind, walking the waterline as the sun painted the ocean in shades of orange and pink. Derek turned to me with a shy smile. "Come have coffee at my place. It's just off the beach. I picked up those lemon scones you like." I said yes. Derek's small cottage had a wooden deck overlooking the dunes. We sat with warm mugs in our hands while the ocean whispered below us. Marcus spoke about his research on tiny plastic pieces in fish. Derek told stories from his Coast Guard days and why he had chosen conservation. I found myself opening up about my long career, my divorce, and the strange emptiness of retirement. Marcus watched me over the rim of his mug. "You miss feeling useful," he said gently. "I do," I admitted. "I miss being part of something bigger than myself." Derek moved closer on the deck railing until our shoulders touched. His warmth seeped through my jacket. Marcus stood and came to my other side. The 3 of us stood close together, looking at the sea. My heart beat faster than it had in years. Clara, Marcus began, his voice low. These past 6 weeks have meant a lot to both of us, Derek continued. We've talked about it. We both have strong feelings for you. I looked from one man to the other. Their eyes were honest and warm. Both of you, I whispered. Both of us, Marcus confirmed softly. We're attracted to you. We'd like to explore what this could be, if you're open to it. I was surprised. I was 64. They were younger, 15 years at most, but still younger, and there were two of them. I don't know how that would even work, I said softly. Neither do we exactly, Derek admitted with a small smile. But we'd like to find out together, if you want to. That night, they did not rush anything. They only stood close, their hands lightly touching my arms and back as we said goodnight. But the air between us felt alive with possibility. I went home with the memory of their warmth still lingering on my skin. In the weeks that followed, our time together grew naturally. Saturday cleanups stayed at the heart of everything. We still met at dawn, our hands brushing as we reached for the same piece of trash, our shoulders touching when we walked side by side. But now, there were weekday dinners at Marcus's research lab, sunset walks with Derek along the beach, and quiet movie nights at my little cottage where the three of us sat close together on the couch. The touches became more intentional. Marcus's fingers would find mine as we walked the waterline, our hands swinging gently between us. Derek would rest his arm lightly around my shoulders on cold mornings, pulling me a little closer against the wind. When we sat together, one of them was always on each side of me, their warmth surrounding me like a gentle promise. I caught myself watching the way Marcus's eyes softened when he looked at me. I noticed how Derek's hand would hover near my waist before gently guiding me over uneven sand. Every small touch sent a quiet thrill through me. I had not felt desired like this in many years. The longing built slowly, sweetly, like the tide coming in. One evening after a long cleanup, we celebrated on Derek's deck with a bottle of wine. The sun was setting in deep shades of rose and gold. I sat between them on the wide bench. Derek's hand rested warmly on my knee. Marcus's fingers traced soft, slow circles on my shoulder. The air felt thick with unspoken feelings. I never thought beach cleanups would bring me this, I said quietly. Marcus smiled. We found you, he murmured. And you found us, Derek added. That was the night they both kissed me for the first time. It happened naturally, tenderly. Marcus leaned in first, his lips brushing mine with such care that my breath caught. His hand cupped my cheek gently. When he pulled back, Derek turned my face softly toward him. His kiss was deeper and steadier, his fingers threading lightly through my hair. I felt completely surrounded by their warmth, their care, and their desire. No rush, no pressure, just three hearts opening to each other under the darkening sky. After that night, everything felt different, yet perfectly right. We never tried to hide what we were building. On the beach, Marcus would take my hand, while Derek walked close on my other side. At my cottage, we would sit together on the couch, my head resting against Marcus's shoulder, while Derek's arm lay across my lap. The closeness was constant, comforting, and full of quiet longing. We talked about everything, the ocean we all loved, the future, how unusual our connection was, and how much it already meant to each of us. They never made me choose. They simply showed me every day that they both wanted to be near me. Thanksgiving came. My daughter visited and met Marcus and Derek over a simple dinner at my cottage. Later, she pulled me aside while the men cleared the table. Mom, she said, they're both younger than you, and there are two of them. I know, I answered with a small laugh. She studied my face for a long moment, then smiled. But you look happy, really happy. I haven't seen that light in your eyes since before the divorce. They make me feel seen, I told her. Valued, like my years of experience are still wanted, like I still have something beautiful to give. She hugged me tight. Then I'm happy for you, Mom. At 64, I thought my time for new beginnings had passed. I thought purpose lived only in reports and meetings, and that love belonged to younger hearts. But every Saturday at dawn, with sand under my nails and two good men beside me, I learned something new. Purpose is not only in big policy changes. Sometimes it is as simple as pulling plastic from wet sand so a sea turtle can nest safely. And love can arrive when you least expect it, through shared values and gentle hands that reach for yours again and again. Marcus and Derek never rushed me. They let the longing grow slowly, beautifully. A hand on my lower back as we climbed the dunes, fingers brushing my arm while we watched the sunrise. A soft kiss goodnight that left me breathless and smiling. Some nights we would stand together on the beach after everyone else had gone home. The three of us wrapped in one long embrace, my body nestled safely between theirs. I could feel their heartbeats, their steady breathing, the quiet strength they offered me without words. In those moments, the whole world felt warm and possible. I never imagined I would find this kind of connection at my age. Two men who looked at the same ocean I loved and saw the same precious thing worth protecting. Two men who looked at me, a 64-year-old woman with laugh lines and retirement in her eyes, and saw someone worth wanting. They made me feel beautiful again, not because of how I looked, but because of who I was. The years I had spent fighting for the planet, the knowledge in my mind, the passion still burning in my heart, they treasured all of it. Our story is still unfolding. We still meet every Saturday at dawn. We still pick up trash side by side, our hands often finding each other in the sand. We still sit on Derek's deck or my couch, talking late into the evening, bodies close, hearts closer. At 64, I have learned that life can surprise you with gifts you never thought to ask for. That purpose and passion can bloom again when you least expect it. And that sometimes the most beautiful love stories begin not in fancy restaurants or dating apps, but on a windswept beach at sunrise with wet sand between your fingers and two caring men who simply want to walk beside you, hold you close, and reach for your hand again and again. I am Clara. I am 64. And every morning, I wake up grateful for the day I reached into the sand and found not just plastic and broken glass, but two warm hands and two open hearts reaching back for mine.